No. If I did not have a family, I loved my job. I loved traveling, I loved meeting people. Even though there were some setbacks, I loved doing what I did. I felt responsible for what went into consumer products and consumer hands. I worked on Aquafresh, I worked on Tums, I worked on Tagament. I worked on when I was working at Hoffman LaRoche, I worked on the very first AIDS cocktail that was by injection. Not the pills that they have now, which is amazing, but the cocktail where that was time sensitive and temperature sensitive, and I got to work on that. So I felt like I made a difference in bringing those things to market safely for people. I've always been fascinated by how things work and the reason why things work. Before teaching, I was a student at Rutgers University, and I was studying to be pre-med. That didn't work out. I went to 1 year of medical school and it wasn't for me, so I switched over into chemistry and worked as a bench chemist right out of college, and from there worked at 2 different companies that started from quality control to regulatory compliance, to regulatory affairs, to regulatory auditing, to FDA auditor of pharmaceutical company. I was in industry from 1992 until 2001, and then took a break to have a family, and then from 2007 on, I moved into teaching. Having a family made traveling difficult. So I wasn't there for my kids and I wasn't there for my family, so I had to give up the travel aspect of my job. And at that time, NAFTA was repealed, so it was easier for companies to go overseas and make plants in Mexico or Puerto Rico than it was to keep production in the United States. So I could not move with my job, so I left. I first took that job, and when I was an auditor, I had paid my dues, went up the ranks, and was very good at being an auditor. I made people GMP compliant, good manufacturing practices compliant, for making drugs. And by drugs, I mean pharmaceuticals. So in order for the consumer to have it, we needed to know that it was made under the right conditions, it was safe, it was efficacious. So one of the problems I encountered in doing that is when I would go into an audit, knowing my stuff, very well versed in the law, I was discriminated against because I was female. And if I was with a counterpart or a colleague who was male and maybe not as high a rank as I was, people that were being audited would direct questions to him and not me. So many times I'd have to gently remind them that I was the lead auditor, that I was the one that was going to either allow them to continue or shut their facility down. And they continued by default to refer to him, even though he was saying, listen, I'm not the lead auditor, this is who you need to be talking to. So that was something that was very frustrating. And I didn't just encounter it in the United States, it was worldwide. Since my degree undergrad was in chemistry and science, there was a need in a previous state, my previous home, that they needed high school chemistry teachers for a district that was not as affluent as Washingtonville. So they were in need of a good chemistry teacher. So I actually was told by a mentor and colleague who was my old science teacher, who then became principal and superintendent at another district. He said to me, you'd be great at teaching. I said, no, I don't like kids, I don't want to teach. He goes, no, we need a teacher. You go and get your degree, your teaching degree, go back to school, get your teaching degree, and I promise you a job. And I did. He said, don't do alternate route, go regular. So I did. I took my 401k from industry. That was practically nothing because that was the time that the market crashed in 2006 or 2005. And then I took that money, that was very little at the time, went back to school, got my teaching degree. I never student taught. He put me right in the classroom, day one, and I've been teaching ever since. My best memory of all time is just interacting with students, and not in the classroom when I have them so much, where we build a relationship, but outside. So if I'm at ShopRite or if I'm in the store and I see a student that I've had in the past, there's a feeling of family. And my first set of students are now late 20s, early 30s, and I see them on Instagram, starting their families, starting their careers, and we keep in touch, and I'm so proud of them. That is the best part of teaching, is seeing these kids as adults. Heck yeah. I would go in a heartbeat. I think my license is expired at this point, but I may be able to renew it. Third career choice, maybe. I would love to go back. My previous experience brings so much to the classroom, because when we're talking chemistry in the classroom, I'm not just talking abstracts. I'm not just talking about, think about this. I can actually give my real experience. So when we talk about chemical interactions, we can talk about drug effects. With my college chemistry class, we do a bioethics lesson at the end of the year, where I bring cases that I worked on, I block out the names, and I bring it to the classroom and I say, this is an ethical situation, what would you do? For example, I worked for 6 months on the Bayer aspirin case where heart medicine, there was a cleaning validation issue, a microgram of heart medicine fell into a vat of baby aspirin, Bayer baby aspirin, and killed 18 infants. We were part of the investigation on that, and I have all my documentation, and I bring that into the class and talk about the bioethics of that. Don't get frustrated. Keep going. Science is all about failing and learning from that failure. You learn more from failing than you do from actually succeeding. Think about yourself as a student. If you get a test back and you get 100, you don't even look at that test. You file it away in your book bag. Or you get a 90, you throw it in your book bag. But if you get a grade that's not what you want, you go back through the test and you go, oh, what did I get wrong? And that's when you actually learn the material. That's when you own it. That's when it becomes a part of you, and no one can take that away from you.